12 years since I resigned as the head coach of Kaisersalutern. How far have they gotten? When we last checked them, they were qualifying for Champions League games and doing a pretty good job. And they were also doing really well in the domestic competition as well. Have they managed to climb to the top of the Bundesliga? Have they won any more silverware? Is there anybody left on the squad that used to play for me? Let's find out. My name is FM21, and this is the Red Devils Rising. Is May 31st, 2041. Let us go to Kaiserslautern, 6th in the Bundesliga. Well, they're still upper mid-table. They've been an upper mid-table team for most of the time since after I left. It looks like their best finish was 3rd in 38-39, and they fell back down to 6th. Gabriel Heinz is now the coach, playing a 4-2-3-1. Imagine that. Let's go back to Kaiserslautern real quick. Look at the head coaches. Marcus Babbel left to become the head coach of Schalke. Okay. He was replaced by Hans Wolf, who was fired and is now the head coach of Napoli. And Gabriel Heinz took over, and he was at Villarreal and was fired, okay? But we can tell by looking at that, they won the Pokal in 2039. So they're winning silverware. We could have looked there too and saw that they were winning silverware. Where do we want to go? Let's go to the players, the senior squad. Anybody on here who was here when we were still the coach? Lucas Bernat is still here, although he is asking to leave. He is now 34 years old. Nowhere near what he used to be physically. Time to move to the MLS and dominate there. A really solid career until 2038-39. Brought him in on a free. 86 goals in 353 games, 44 assists, 31 players of the match, 7.14 overall rating. 36-30-70 at 27 starts, 10 assists, 6 players in the match. 10 goals. That is not a bad career. Anyone else? It doesn't look like it. We'd have to, what I should have done this earlier. If we search by age, it's going to be Lucas Bernat. So everyone else is left. So let's go to transfer history. And we'll just work our way backwards. See if there's any names from people on the outs that we recognize. No, not there. We'll have to check release players too. We'll do that here shortly. Not there. Not there. Definitely not there. Maybe here. Then we let Sturgeon go. This tells me that this is a save where he rolled low on the ability. Eric Gassana went to Werder. How was his career? 18 goals and 7 assists this last season. That's not bad. So he's the starting striker for Werder, who are a Bundesliga 2 team, which is kind of where we thought he would top out. We want to go to transfers. Now, if we go to free transfers, we'll work our way forward. No, we don't want free. We want released. What am I thinking? Let's go back to 34-35 here. Jens Presthofer, I recognize. He was a youth player. He's at Erdogan. Carrillo left and then he retired. Carrillo retired. Now, it looks like a lot of the players that I brought on in that, essentially, they left within 5 to 7 years. Schmidt is still our best advanced midfielder on the left. Let's take a look at his career. He's still at PSG. 22 goals, 10 assists, 13 players of the match for an 8.12 rating. 16 goals, 9 assists, 11 players of the match. He's Jeez, he is 30 years old now. Go to milestones. French Cup winners, Trophy Cup winners. All. World Golden Ball, World Footballer of the Year, World Player of the Year. Wow. So he's been World Player of the Year twice. World Player of the Year twice. World Footballer of the Year once. And he came in second one other time. World Golden Ball. I think we looked at that. Is that the same thing as Player of the Year? Broke the PSG record for most Player of the Match awards in the season with 17. Competition-wise, French Cup winners, Trophy of Champions winners, French Cup winners, Super Cup runner-ups. I'm not seeing any Champions Leagues, though. We can check that here real quick. We'll check the teams on the side. We won't do a deep dive into it. Barcelona, Man City. PSG, they won in 37-38. Tottenham managed to sneak in, kind of breaking the Man United dominance. Nico Schmidt, 7 goals. Okay. Wow. You know what? Let's look at we're getting a bit off tangent here. Let's see how Kaiserslautern has done. So this was this season. They qualified for Europa Cup 2. Lost in the quarterfinal of the Pokal. Lost in the quarterfinal of the Europa Cup on penalties. Wow. Got absolutely bossed in the Champions League group here. Zebra, RB Salzburg, and Benfica. Okay. No Champions League or no European competition here, but we won the Pokal. Nothing here. Got to the quarterfinals. That lost to Enemy of the People, Hertha. Lost to Zaragoza in the Euro Cup second round here. And this was the semifinal loss against Schalke. Sanchez is at Bastia. Wow. That's a bit of kismet. I had a Bastia save. It was a very good save. It was a fun save. It's interesting to see him there. Where are they at? Are they in League One? They're in League Two. Okay. He just left on a free. That was after a couple unproductive seasons. Okay. Thiel is still at Chelsea. Good gracious, look at that. Wow. I'm gobsmacked. Just how good is he? Carrillo retired. He had a solid career for us. You know, one of those defensive center backs who knew his role, knew how to do it, and did it well. Bejger is the head coach at Brookbet Termaclia. Brookbet Termaclia. He's not a bad coach either. Those are actually some really nice skills. What group are they in? They're 14th in the Ekstraklasa. Okay. Let's take a closer look at this. History, milestones. He went with Kaiserslautern, went to St. Pauli, and went to Wisla Krakow. Actually, you know what? We can click jobs for crying out loud. Lech under 18s to Wisla Krakow to Brookbek Termaclia. Of course, Continental A. He's actually not a bad coach at all. Villa was a player who came after us because he is still there. Cheer Decker retired. He went to Rangers, then he was at Wolves, had an okay career there, it looks like. He was there for 6 years, and then sat on the bench at Leicester. 130 appearances for Wolves, looked at the Euro Cup 2 in 2034. A solid career. So if we go back far enough, Soriano is still at Man City. 31 years old now, peak of his career. Absolutely stellar. This is probably his best season here. 37 appearances, 32 goals allowed, 16 shutouts, 5 players in the match for 7.39. I got him and Nico Schmidt the same year. Wiesner is still playing at Barcelona. That's right. He went to Chelsea for $74 million. Then he went to Barcelona for $110. Holy cow. Okay. Dressel is a defender for the Genoa under-20s at 35 years old. Surplus to requirements. It's been a few years since he played. Went to Wolfsburg, went to Copenhagen, went to Genoa. Was a contributor until a couple years ago when he just got too old. Bloom retired at 34. Moved to Union Berlin. Had a really good career there. 302 appearances, 57 goals. Sutherland's at Crystal Palace. Went there for $8 million, 27 appearances, 6 goals, and assist. That's not a bad career. Man, he's moved for a decent amount of money in his career. He's definitely made the most of his skills. No, Bino Gittins, he of the injuries. General manager, unemployed. Imagine that. Went to Celtic, went to Slovan Bratislava. Played Victoria Pilsen for a year, and then has gone into... That was 38-39, so it's 40-41. And he has not gotten a job as a general manager. I don't think those stats would get him a general manager job anywhere. Maybe at a B-side club or something like that. If we go back a little further, Swiderski ended up in Sporting Kansas City. Okay, it's my hometown club. Let's see, Matty left Kaisersalutern. Had a long career at Utrecht. Ranieri retired, kind of bounced around, went to Eintracht Braunschweig, then Zwickau. Magahalis. Well, he was kind of all over. Siska Moscow, Boa Vista, Guimarães, Olhanense. So, I mean, yeah, I could keep doing the deep dive into players. Florian Held retired at 30. Solid career, unspectacular. The one name that does come to mind because I remember it standing out was Elton Thackey, who wants to be an assistant coach, but not with stats like that. Kaiserslautern moved to Holstein Kiel, then went to Mlada Boleslav. Had a solid career. Was one of those players who didn't really develop properly. And that's on me. And Zivkak, he's at Brisbane Roar now. Again, a solid career. It was either him or Burnett, and I chose Burnett, and I think I chose well. So, let's take a look at the stages here. So 6th place for Euro Cup 2. 6th place for Euro Cup 2. 3rd place, and a decent 3rd place considering Bayern and Borussia were ahead of everybody. In 8th place here, 7th place here, 6th place here. And that's when we last looked at them. So yeah, they've been solid upper mid-table. They've been playing European football more often than not. I think had I been in charge, we would have kept some of those players. We would have kept Nico Schmidt. We would have kept John Soriano. We had Krillo and Wiesner and Thiel. It would have been a good nucleus to build a club around that. I think we could have gone to the top of the Bundesliga. Part of me is tempted to fire up the save and just start playing it offline and see how well I can do. But yeah, this was a fun save. I liked it. Kaiserslautern is kind of sort of my hometown team, as I mentioned early on. My dad was stationed there for a while when we were in Germany. I did see some games at the stadium back when I was young. It was a hell of an experience. It's something that you know, it's like any big club stadium match. You have to experience it to really believe it. And I have some really good memories there. Club's fallen on some hard times lately. Some of that was self-inflicted. Some of it was stuff outside of their control. But as with all things in Football Manager, you play smart, you play within your budget, you take some risks. Sometimes you're really rewarded. We took some risks early on with some players that really helped us out. The two biggest ones, the three biggest ones were William Goebbels, who's retired now. didn't really have much of a career after he left us. He went to Lyon and sat on the bench there. They moved him to Vigo, 52 goals and 200 appearances there. Pietro Pellegrini, who was also retired, also chased the money. Went to Juve, to Milan, to Norwich, and back to Fiorentina. Just never really had the success at any of those clubs that he had here. And then, what was it, Martin de Graca? I want to say it was de Graca. Marco de Graca. He's retired as well. Also never really had the career that he was expecting after he left. And one middling season at Napoli, and then did a whole lot of nothing at Dynamo Kiev and PAOK. So 71 goals in 114 games. You know, it's interesting. This save went like a lot of club saves, and I'm going to go here to kind of show that real quick, because the best way to do that is to go this route here. So this was the club when we started. Lucas Spalvis had an absolutely phenomenal year for us. Had 38 goals. I mean, it was just insane. We got promoted to 2 Liga. He fell off. Lucas Rosser stepped up. We spent a couple seasons in Bundesliga 2. We got Willem Goebbels in for 1.7 million, something like that. It was a song. He was languishing on the Monaco bench. They were looking to move him to get any sort of money for him. We got him in, and he had just one of those rebirths. He had 20 goals in this season. He had 32 goals in this season. De Graca, we picked up on a free, and he had 20 goals in 30 games. And then we started building the team around them. We had Tjeerd Dekker at this time, but he was on the bench because we had Mazzini in goal. Mazzini was the keeper who saw us through. We brought him on in our early Bundesliga 2 days. He ended up going to Man City and chasing the money there. Sat there for a couple of years. Went to Bournemouth. Had a solid career at Bournemouth. So it was a good career for Stefano Mazzini. Then we also picked up players like Maga Hollis and Fligioli and Bejger. Oliver Skip had a season with us that was productive. Nabil Touazi was a player that we picked up and contributed a lot. And this is the time when you're transitioning your squad from good players in lower leagues who are mediocre players in bigger leagues to younger players who you're hoping to give a chance to. We got up into the Bundesliga. Goebbels left. We brought on Pellegrini. We had Montno on loan for 1 season. Or 2 seasons. He did fairly good for us, but I didn't pick him up because I liked the other opportunities we had. This is when Lucas Bernat showed up. Florian Held showed up. Conor Gallagher was here. Fligioli was here. Dekker made his appearances. And then this was the time we were really good in Europe. 26-27 was when we won the Euro Cup 2. That was the year Pellegrini and de Graca just absolutely went off. They left the next year chasing the money, and it was replacing them with better younger players. Sutherland and Ojeda were there. Schmidt got a decent amount of starts, but Ojeda was overall the better striker, which is why he's paired with Sutherland. Bernat and Bloom. This was the first year of Jamie Bino-Gittens, and it was the last year of Jamie Bino-Gittens for me. Or this was the last year of Jamie Bino-Gittens for me because that's when I retired. New coach came in, new formation, had a roster that mostly fit it. One of the things they did was not play Nico Schmidt all that much, but then he came back and started as advanced midfielder on the left. They moved Sutherland, brought on Quaranta, who was a very good striker at the time. It's not really showing here, but he contributed in other ways. Bernat, that's when he had his good seasons. Lozino and Sanchez were solid in the midfield. He's in the MLS now too. And then starting about 2030, 31, you had players starting to move. And if I'm being honest, at least going back and looking at numbers, this was probably the best time they had to move really far up the table and kind of take the reins. But then they started moving players out. So like Schmidt left. And they really didn't have an adequate... Baja is a really good striker. He's not Gubbles or Pellegrini, but he's more than capable. I mean, 32 appearances, 17 goals, 5 assists, 4 players of the match. For a person they brought on $32 million. Then they turn around and let him go on a free. I'm not quite sure why. I haven't done a deep dive into that. They had Soriano. They brought on Sturgeon. Carrillo was still there. And then they just had players starting to move. Bino Gittins left. Soriano got sold. Thiel was still here. And then Thiel got sold that season. NA is a solid keeper. He's no Soriano. But they got him from Milan for a good price. Had some good seasons. But again, seeing as who he replaced, those are big shoes to fill. I mean, the fact that in looking, I've had 3 players who are considered world class, and one of them's won the Golden Ball twice now, says a lot for how well I was scouting and everything like that. So they're a solid club. I got them to where I wanted them to be, and I can't complain about that. This was a really good save. I did a lot of stuff behind the scenes I normally don't do in terms of scouting and everything like that. It's one of the reasons I was able to build a big roster. But as with all things, when a human retires and turns control over the computer doesn't exactly know what you're doing or what your intentions are, and it's going to do what it wants to do. Sometimes it'll maintain what you're doing. Sometimes it'll do a little bit better, but other times it will not. And I think this is one of those cases where it fell off a little bit. Jorge Jesus is not the one I was looking for. I suspect he never made any of the best 11s. Jose Jesus. Head coach, unemployed. Why he favors that formation, I do not know, because I never ever played that formation. That's right, he went to Feyenoord, then Valladolid. Solid career. Can't complain about that. And I could spend the next hour or two just going back and looking at players and seeing how they did and so on and so forth. But this was the squad when I left them. They were a good squad. They had a lot of depth. They had a lot of potential. I think it's one of those cases where a human player could have brought out that potential to its fullest. The computer did a good job. I think I would have done better. But it was time to move on, and we did. So we are now 12 years into the future in Kaiserslautern. They are still a solid, successful Bundesliga team. And that's nothing to be ashamed about. It's something to be proud of, as a matter of fact. So, with that said, this series is officially at a close. If you did like what you've seen and heard, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content, questions, criticisms, comments. Leave those down below. I will answer those as fast as I can. My name is FM Jellico. I thank you for watching.